Hello everybody, how are you today out in YouTube land? This is your driver Scott. So today I wanted to talk about like airports, ports, and gated communities, things of that nature. Um, I, for the most part, I don't really like picking up at those places. um, I First of all, when I first started driving, doing rideshare, and it was an early Sunday morning, and I picked somebody up and to drop them off at the airport, which is fine. I love doing this stuff. It's great for me. And as I'm dropping the person off, I get a text message, and the text message says, "There's only 6 cars at the airport." It's from Uber. There's only 6 cars at the airport. If you go to the waiting area, you can pick up rides pretty quickly. And I'm thinking to myself, 6 cars? I'm not waiting behind 6 cars. And I drove off. And I have my own way of doing things, so I went ahead doing my thing. And I didn't realize how little 6 cars were. As I started doing this, I started seeing things like nowadays, if I see 40 cars, that's a little bit for Uber. It goes up to 120. I'm not going to wait behind all those people. Now, because people are waiting, you get into a queue and you're waiting behind 120 people. And I had a friend who came into town last year, and a group of us were going to meet at her hotel where she was staying. And she had everything arranged. I would have gone to pick her up. I think the thing is that a lot of people at the time were used to me not having a car. So, you don't even think to ask. And I didn't really think to offer because I had just bought the car like a month or two before, and I didn't think to ask. And I think mostly because she already had everything arranged. And I ended up taking a lift to where her hotel was, so I didn't have my car. But she's telling me these horror stories. Not me, she's telling all of us about these horror stories about what the Uber drivers were doing. And part of the problem was that you sit behind all those cars, and what you want when you do get a request is a long ride. You want to go to Miami, you want to go to West Palm Beach. You don't want to go from the airport to the port or one of the hotels that are on the beach, because those are short rides, and you just wasted all that time waiting for somebody. I imagine the rides are you wait about an hour to get, with that many cars there. I imagine that's what's going on. So anyway, she was telling us these horror stories about what was happening. And I never really picked up at the airport. I would just drop somebody off and I would just drive on. And I've had pickup requests from the port. And the port's right next to the airport. And that's where the cruise ships come in. And, you have to go through security to get there. And there's usually a line. By the way, I want to give a shout out to the police officers and the security officers that guard our ports. I think you guys do a great job under tremendous pressure. At the Fort Lauderdale ports, the security company that's there is the company I used to work for. One of the girls that I was training to be my backup at my site where I used to work, she was telling me, some of her adventures, and it's difficult. They do a good job. It's a tough job, and they do a good job. And I just wanted to give them a shout out and thank you for their work. In either case, you have to go through security, and you kind of have to show them your ID. You have to show them the airway bill. Then you have to lift the trunk, and then they ask you, do you have any weapons? Which, by the way, I always find that kind of funny. If I'm taking somebody to the cruise ship, they ask me, the driver, if there are any weapons in the car. And I feel like telling them, as far as I know, no, but I didn't pack those bags you just looked at. But what I don't want is I don't want them to pull me over and start, grabbing a microscope and crawling up my rear end. You know what I'm saying? So I just go, no. And they let us go. By the way, I never give security a hard time anywhere I go, because I've worked security a long time, and I kind of know what a pain in the neck job it is when you come across people like that. If I feel like I could joke with the security, I will, but for the most part, I just kind of do what they say and go on. Anyway, I don't wait at the airport. I drop the people off and I move on. And I've had it where, as I'm leaving, I turn on my Lyft app. Like, let's say I'm dropping them off and it's Uber, I'll turn on the Lyft app, or I'll turn on the Uber app, and as I'm driving out, still leaving the airport, I'll get a Lyft request. I generally won't get an Uber request because there's generally a queue waiting in cars there. But sometimes I guess with Lyft there's nobody waiting, and they don't send. I haven't gotten a notification as far as I know. I can tap a button to see how many cars are waiting in the queue, for both Lyft and Uber, but for like at this point, I really don't do. I don't wait. I don't wait, so I don't stop to tap to find out how many cars there are. I just kind of move on. Sometimes I'm curious and I'll look, but most of the times I just move on. Anyway, I'll get a request and I'll have to, do a U-turn and come back to the airport. And my navigation system tells me to go to the upper deck. The one for Lyft tells me to go to the upper level, and then it says pick them up where arrivals are, which is at the lower level. So a lot of times I'll call and I'll say, hey, are you on the upper level or lower level? And most people are in the lower level, but I have had somebody say, no, I'm in the upper level. I've been to Departures, so I'll go up there and pick them up. And at the port, I want to tell you two stories about what happens, like one at the port and one at the airport. I was at the port, and I'm trying to drop off this couple that were going on a cruise, right? And in front of me was a car. And standing towards the front of my hood, facing me, is a police officer, Broward Sheriff's Office. And I want to pause to say that, my previous job was security, and I have sat in the parking lot of a college that had two events going on at the same time. And I was following my instructions on how to navigate people around. And a lot of times when you're doing that, you're facing the oncoming traffic. You're trying not to get hit, and you're trying to tell people where to go. Now, while you're doing that, you can't see behind you. There's no eyes back there. They don't just, pop out and go around. You don't have a periscope attached to your eyes so you can see what's going on. You don't know what's going on behind you. So I know what was going on with this sheriff. So I don't want to say that the guy was an idiot, because I don't believe he was. But he's sitting there and he's going, come on, let's go. Come on, come on, come on. And when I stopped, he's getting louder and he's waving his arms faster. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And I'm like, there's a car there? And then he kind of eased up a little bit. And then when the car moved on, I moved on. I can understand there are a lot of people that don't actually follow your instructions when you're kind of trying to direct them on where to go. But at the same time, there was a car in front of me. There was a time at the airport, there's another story I want to tell you about, where there's a police officer, and I'm pulling up to drop off my passengers. And she tells me where to pull, she's like, pull in here, right? Pull in here. And I pull in. Now, that lane we were in was not a loading, unloading lane. Okay? But I couldn't go any further because there was a car in front of me. And she knew that. She told that car to go there, and there was a bus in front of that car. So she knew they were stopped. And then she walks past my car and starts directing the cars that were in the inner lanes out. Do you know what I'm saying? She was clearing up the cars that were kind of stuck. They drop somebody off and then everyone won't let them through, which kind of happens a lot at the airport. But she's directing those cars out, and we're stopped, and it was a young couple. So we just said, let's go for it, because where we needed to go, their door was right there. So we hop out of the car, I pop the trunk, I grab the suitcase, and I'm handing it to him. And I hear her saying, this isn't a loading zone. And I thank you very much. I hope you have a great flight. I hope you have a great day. And I'm closing the trunk. She goes, I didn't mean for you to do that, sir. And I looked at her as nicely as I could. I said, yes, I know. I said, but the car in front of me is still there, and the bus in front of that car is still there. So we would still be sitting here regardless. We're not blocking traffic. You told us to go there, and we would still be sitting there if we didn't unload. So we just unloaded to just move the traffic along. And now, have a great day. And I got in the car and I drove off. Now, I can understand frustration. I've directed traffic before, man. There's a lot of people out there, they don't want to listen to you. They want to do what they want to do. And in some cases, I get that. Like in my case, I unloaded. I wasn't supposed to unload. But at the same time, I couldn't go anywhere. And sometimes, people get caught up in the moment and they can't kind of see around that. So anyway, that's the reasons why I don't really like going to the port. I mean, once you get through security and you drive all the way around, then there's like 50 people and you got to try to find your person, and it's a pain in the neck. And I don't mind either one of those chaotic things that happen going to a port to pick somebody up. But when you add them all together, it's like, and it's especially worse if the person just needs to go from the port to a hotel that's like right around the corner there. Because literally, you just drive out of the port and the hotels are right there. So there's no money in that. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know about that. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you like this video. And you have a story you want to tell me about the port or about dealing with traffic police officer, or if you happen to be a traffic police officer or a security officer who's had to deal with these idiots in the cars like me, please let me know. Write down in the description and comments. Also, take a look at the description box below. There's a couple of links. I hope you like them. I hope there's something in there that interests you. This is your driver, Scott, and I hope you have a great day.